Hello and welcome to our podcast, Tales from the CyberLab. My name's Adam Myers and I'm the sales director here at CyberLab, and I'll be your host for this Christmas special where we'll be recapping 2025 and all the best episodes. Enjoy. Episode 6 was back in January, where we're joined by Sophos's very own Dave Mariels, who talks around the evolution of AI in cybersecurity. Specifically around attack and defense and how that is evolving over time. Check out this episode.
The attackers have the technology. I think it's the defenders who have more of a gain because they started here. The attackers were here. Now this is a leveler up, and I'm really excited for the applications on both the product side and the services side moving forward.
Episode 7 from February was with Peter McKenzie, who heads up the incident response team at Sophos. This episode is really good if you're looking at your incident response strategy. And also, I think my view is test your incident response plan. What I see a lot is when I talk to a lot of customers is that they don't actually test their response. And I think in the heat of their moment, it's good just to understand what to do and what processes to follow. So check out this episode with Peter.
The first thing to do is probably going to want to take your critical systems offline, because if they haven't been hit already, which they probably have, you want to protect them. So anything that is critical to your business, or even just everything, get them offline. If you've got ways to isolate them, so various security products have options to isolate machines, that's a good way of doing it, because you can then keep investigating those machines while they're isolated. But if you don't know what to do and you don't know what tools you've got, just turn things off. Just shut it down. Cut the internet, put firewall rules in to block all traffic, turn machines off, get your backup servers offline.
We go back to March, where we're joined by David Dixon for episode 8, where we discuss around penetration testing, specifically around web application testing, mobile testing, but also large data breaches that we're seeing in the news, where David covers this off in more detail.
Some people might have remember this in the news from a few years ago. I can't remember the exact year now, but I think it was one of their kind of customer-facing mobile applications which was compromised, and effectively it cost British Airways something in the vicinity of sort of 20 million in fines as a result for a GDPR breach. And this is just a perfect example of how, not taking security seriously enough, or not being able to demonstrate to bodies like the ICO, who are the ones that basically...
And that was a direct result of a web app.
It was a web app compromise for sure. And it cost, there was millions of user records compromised. And obviously as a result, they suffered a financial penalty.
Episode 9 back in April, where we're joined by Motti Cohen from Vicarious, discussing automated patch management. Fantastic solution. What we see with a lot of customers, especially, is around the patchless protection that Vicarious can offer. So check out this episode. It's one you don't want to miss.
These things, they are kind of like weakness or flaws in software.
Yeah.
And those weakness or flaws, they are calling those potential exploiters to try to utilize those weaknesses. It's like gaps, in the software.
So this is they're kind of like gaps or like oversight in the software, but that allows someone to do something to that software that then exposes a security vulnerability.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, not only security, it can be also, like bugs or performance issues that those holes can invite.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But in this case, we will focus on those security
Absolutely,
holes.
Yeah.
And definitely, when you have this kind of hole, it's kind of a race. If who will find this hole first? The vendor, or maybe the good people, if you can say, or those
the
criminals, cyber criminals or potential attackers that will try to take it.
Episode 10 back in May, where I actually joined the team, and it's actually my first podcast. What a rollercoaster it's been since then, where we're joined by Stuart Wilson from ForcePoint, who discusses data security in more detail. Now, my view on this is that as more businesses are transitioning into AI, adopting Copilot and other technologies, this is one that's really good for your cybersecurity strategy. Enjoyed.
Yeah, it's a good rationale, right? Starting with classification, because as you say, people have built up data, long period of time. That data they want to put into different repositories moving forwards. But if you don't know what that data is, that's kind of a risky business. So using classification, using AI-driven classification, removes a lot of that kind of mundane user activity. Often people get a bit tetchy when you talk about AI and the impact it can have on people's roles. But when you take something that people aren't very good at, don't enjoy doing, and can add risk to the business, and when you replace that with AI capability, then actually I think it becomes a really compelling argument to use it.
Episode 11 of Tales from the CyberLab, back in June, where we're joined by Stuart Coulson from Hidden Techs. Now, Stuart shone a light a little bit on the role of a CISO with an organization and also cybersecurity as a culture, which I think is really interesting and a great take on where the industry is heading. Enjoy.
It's an interesting topic, and it's one that I'm really passionate about because I think I've long seen from the other side as well, cyber's lived in an ivory tower, hand grenaded out policies, thou shalt do or thou shalt not do. And it's always been seen as this almost kind of an angry place in the business that where all good ideas go to die because you're not allowed to do that because, well, we have to do this on a firewall and then there's this and there's a million excuses get thrown out. So cyber's always been the blocker. Whereas where I prefer to see it is cybersecurity as an enabler.
Episode 12 back in July, where we're joined by Bridget Green from Legal Edge, who discusses e-commerce law and specifically cybersecurity from an e-commerce perspective. So if you are an organization that handles credit card, it links quite nicely as well into PCI DSS, which is a later episode. But also if you're looking from a cybersecurity perspective around your e-commerce websites, it's really one that will shine a light on where the industry is heading and what to watch out for.
So I think I'd say there were sort of 4 key heads of cyber attacks that e-commerce businesses regularly encounter. One would be payment fraud. So effectively, criminals stealing your customers' payment details at the point of sale on your website or via your app. A second would be phishing. So that is where criminals pose and trick your staff into sharing data, whether it's bank accounts, etc., by posing as, say, your payroll department or one of your senior leaders. A third is ransomware. So that is where third parties use malicious software to effectively block the functionality of your site. So to effectively stop you being able to trade, to make sales, and then hold you to ransom, literally demand a sum of money to be able to release your business back to you. And finally, one that everybody would be pretty au fait with is web hacking, which is effectively where hackers will sort of infiltrate the back end of your systems and steal large quantities of your customer data.
Episode 13 in August, where we're joined by Chess's very own James Mallew, who discusses the role of Copilot specifically and the adoption of Microsoft's new technologies. I think this is a really good one if you're looking to start that journey. I often find when I talk to customers from a cybersecurity perspective, it's where do we start our AI journey? And this is one that will really help you with the wider strategy. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
And those people who are enthusiasts who want to use AI, they're just going to go off and use ChatGPT, the consumer edition. They're going to use any tool that they want to use.
Yeah.
And I get the fact you can lock down desktops and devices, but at the end of the day, I've got my own device. So I can go away, I can use ChatGPT to do things based on content that I might have taken out of the organization that's sensitive. So I think whilst you can put efforts in place to stop people using shadow IT, I'm a great believer in encourage them to do the right thing, which is provide a set of tools that you as an organization govern, you manage, you audit. Give them those tools, right? AI is not going to go away. So if you don't provide a tool that someone can use as a kind of basic generative AI tool, a proportion of your users will demand that. And over the next few years, as new people join your organization, they will expect it. You know, it's like all of these technologies. If I joined an organization tomorrow and they said, we're not using Teams, or we're not using Microsoft 365, then there would be a slight raised eyebrow in terms of, well, what are you providing as an alternative?
Episode 14 in September, we were joined by CyberLab's very own Tom Unsworth, who is an ethical hacker here at CyberLab. This episode is really good if you're looking for a career as an ethical hacker, but also what they do on a day-to-day basis. Tom shines a light a little bit on some techniques that are new and we're seeing sort of evolve over time. So enjoy this episode. It's one you don't want to miss.
The very common ones that we see in pretty much every engagement we do is sort of vulnerable third-party components, because these are really hard to keep up to date with if you've got a wide range of technologies on your app.
Episode 15 in October, we're joined by John Hope from Sophos. Now, if your cybersecurity strategy is a bit like trying to untangle the Christmas lights, this is one you don't want to miss. We'll be looking at the State of Ransomware report, which is really good if you're looking to adopt your cybersecurity strategy, and especially as we turn the year into 2026. This is a really good episode you don't want to miss. Enjoy.
Work on the assumption that you probably will be hit at some point is probably the one thing.
Yeah.
And start from that position. Train your users, but don't assume that you're going to get it right 100% of the time, because humans are all fallible. We will make a mistake at some point. So start with user training and then build in mechanisms if something does go wrong. And that's a combination of technology and then the processes that we've just talked about. And just don't ignore the problem. It's very real. Don't assume you're too small. It's definitely a challenge that faces organizations of all different sizes.
Episode 16 back in November. What an episode this was, where I was joined by Farron, who is a cybersecurity consultant here at CyberLab, and we discussed PCI DSS. So if you're an e-commerce website or anybody that takes card payments, this is one that will really help shine a light on what you should be doing and maybe link in some of the team. I think it's really good from my perspective that we do help a lot of customers around their PCI DSS strategy. So enjoy this episode.
It was in the year 2018. There was an attack on Ticketmaster website. So consortium with the attackers who mainly target on payment processing of an organization called MageCart. So they how they worked was they would target a company or a third-party vendor's payment processing web page. So they would inject it with a JavaScript code, and that would sit on that website silently and observing all the transactions that are happening. And that's how they got hold of millions of cardholder data. And it became a huge impact for line of companies who were using that as a service. It was British Airways, that was one of the major companies that got affected as well.
Yeah. So that concludes this episode of Tales from the CyberLab. I really do hope you've enjoyed our Christmas special and recap of 2025. I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody that's listened to the channel. Please like and subscribe. It does really help the channel grow. So until next time, stay secure.